Imagine a young man in a city full of noise, where everyone turned a deaf ear to the whispers of God. That young man was Jeremiah, a prophet who faced unimaginable rejection and despair. But what if I told you that his story holds the key to finding hope in our darkest times? Why did Jeremiah, despite his struggles, become a beacon of faith for generations? The answer lies in the unwavering message of God's love and redemption he shared, reminding us that even the most broken can be made whole. So, join us today as we explore the profound lessons from Jeremiah's life that can transform our own. Don't forget to subscribe and share in the comments where you're from and how Jesus has blessed your life. Remember, Jesus is with you. May he bless you abundantly. Jeremiah's journey begins in the small town of Anathoth, nestled within the tribal lands of Benjamin. Anathoth is not just any ordinary place. It is a city with a rich spiritual lineage, known for its priestly inhabitants. Born into a family of priests, Jeremiah was naturally steeped in a tradition of spiritual service and leadership. This lineage can be traced back to Abiathar, a high priest from the family of Eli, which inherently placed Jeremiah in a position of significant religious influence and expectation. However, Jeremiah's life was destined for a purpose far greater than the customary duties of a priest. From the earliest moments of his life, even predating his birth, God had set him apart for a distinct and divine mission. In the opening verses of the book of Jeremiah, the Lord's words are clear. "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." This profound declaration by God serves as the foundation of Jeremiah's calling and leaps out as a unifying theme across his life's narrative. The thought of being singled out by God for such an extraordinary purpose might seem like an honor, yet to Jeremiah, it initially inspired reluctance and trepidation. His youthful perception of himself did not align with the grandiose vision that God had laid out. "Ah, sovereign Lord," Jeremiah exclaimed, "I do not know how to speak. I am too young." His reluctance is reminiscent of other notable figures in biblical history, like Moses, who hesitated in front of the burning bush, or Gideon, who doubted his ability to save Israel. This hesitance reveals Jeremiah's humanity, making him a deeply relatable and real character for anyone who has ever faced daunting expectations. Jeremiah's apprehension highlights a common theme in the divine callings of biblical figures. God often chooses the unlikely candidates, those who the world might overlook or deem inadequate, to fulfill his purposes. Through their perceived weaknesses, God demonstrates his strength and wisdom. The responsibility given to Jeremiah was substantial. He was called not only to speak to the people of his immediate environment, but, more broadly, to the nations. This expansive scope of his mission underscores the universal significance of his messages, meant to transcend his local audience and echo through the ages. A crucial aspect of Jeremiah's calling was its timing. His prophetic ministry began during the reign of King Josiah, a rare period of religious reform and revival in the southern kingdom of Judah. Josiah's campaign to restore the worship of Yahweh and eliminate idolatry was an environment ripe for divine communication, and Jeremiah's message dovetailed with these reforms. However, despite the external compliance seen during Josiah's reign, the hearts of the people were often untouched by true repentance. God's call to Jeremiah to be his mouthpiece came at a critical juncture, urging genuine spiritual transformation, not just outward conformity. Jeremiah's deep connection with God is evident from the bold assurance with which he eventually accepts his calling. Divine reassurances, such as God's promise to deliver him and protect him from those who would oppose him, strengthen Jeremiah's resolve. "Do not be afraid of them, for I am with you and will rescue you," declares the Lord. Such reassurances highlight a crucial principle in the narrative of divine callings. God's presence accompanies his purposes, equipping and empowering those he calls. While Jeremiah's initial hesitation is relatable, the narrative moves forward to depict a young man who steps into his prophetic role with growing confidence and commitment. His experiences resonate with countless individuals who have faced their own calls to leadership or service in daunting times. Jeremiah's calling serves not only as a historical account, but as an inspirational blueprint for navigating divine purpose amidst uncertainty and fear. Jeremiah's early life in Anathoth, intertwined with his calling, offers a vivid tapestry of divine intention, human reluctance, and ultimate surrender to God's will. His story of being set apart before birth, feeling inadequate, yet ultimately accepting a difficult mission, is one that continues to inspire and resonate. It underscores the power of God to call, equip, and sustain those who are willing to trust in His greater plan, even when the path is unclear and fraught with challenges. In Jeremiah, we find a profound example of faith in action, of stepping into the unknown with the conviction that God's purpose is always greater than our fears and limitations. Jeremiah's ministry was a long and arduous journey marked by passionate dedication to his calling and profound personal struggles. From the outset, his prophetic mission was set against a backdrop of significant geopolitical shifts, beginning in the 13th year of King Josiah's reign. It was a time of great upheaval, with the formidable rise of the Babylonian Empire casting a long shadow over the entire region. Babylonia's ascent marked the decline of Assyria, providing an opening for Judah to step cautiously into the power vacuum. Yet, this was also a period of uncertainty and looming threat, filling the air with the palpable tension of an impending clash of empires. Jeremiah was called to speak truth to power during these turbulent years, guided by divine instruction to bring a message that was anything but popular. His words were primarily of warning, calling Judah's leaders and people to account for their departure from faithfulness to God. As such, he found little welcome or shelter among his own people. The societal and religious elites of Judah, deeply entrenched in their practices and confident in their national identity, perceived these warnings as subversive and threatening to their sense of stability and control. In fulfilling his prophetic duties, Jeremiah found himself constantly wrestling with profound emotional turmoil. He was deeply anguished by the impending judgment that he foresaw and the stubborn refusal of the people to heed the warnings. His anguish earned him the epithet of the weeping prophet, a title that vividly captured the depth of his sorrow. In Jeremiah 9, verse 1, he laments, "Oh, that my head were a spring of water and my eyes a fountain of tears. I would weep day and night for the slain of my people." This biblical verse poignantly illustrates the emotional weight he bore as he watched with despair the people's unwitting march towards destruction. The personal cost of his ministry was substantial. Jeremiah faced rejection not only from the ruling class, but also from ordinary citizens who dismissed his prophecies as the dreary outpourings of a naysayer. Within the sacred halls where one would expect understanding and camaraderie, he found antagonism and persecution. His call for repentance was so contrary to the prevailing tide of complacency and sin that it sparked hostile reactions. Jeremiah's life was under threat, and he was often the subject of mockery and conspiracy. One of the most harrowing episodes in his ministry came when he was seized by his adversaries and thrown into a cistern, an abandoned water pit situated in the courtyard of the house of a prominent official. Jeremiah 38 verse 6 recounts, "So they took Jeremiah and put him into the cistern of Malchijah, the king's son, which was in the courtyard of the guard. They lowered Jeremiah by ropes into the cistern. It had no water in it, only mud, and Jeremiah sank down into the mud. This was not merely an act of cruelty, but a symbolic gesture intended to silence him, to bury his voice in the depths of oblivion. Yet, even in the midst of such adversity, Jeremiah's resolve did not waver. His cries from the pit illustrate both his humanity and his unwavering commitment to his mission. When others might have given way to bitterness or despair, Jeremiah found solace in the Lord's presence. The scriptures do not record in detail his prayers from the depths of that mud, but they echo the psalms of lament cries for deliverance that reflect a profound trust in divine justice and timing. Jeremiah's physical release from the cistern by Ebed-Melech, an unlikely ally, serves as a testament to God's provision even in the bleakest circumstances. This moment of rescue reflects a recurring biblical theme of divine intervention and support for those who are unjustly persecuted for righteousness' sake. Despite the hardships, Jeremiah's ministry was marked by an unyielding proclamation of truth. He maintained an unwavering loyalty to God's message, exemplified in his determination to speak out, regardless of the personal cost. His faithfulness serves as a powerful testament to the resilience of the human spirit when anchored in a profound and unshakable belief in God's purpose. Jeremiah's story is therefore one of courage amid adversity, of a calling fulfilled through tears and trials. It challenges us, inviting a reflection on our own lives and the ways we might sometimes face resistance when standing for truth and integrity. His legacy prompts us to consider the depth of our commitment to our convictions and the courage required to stay true to them, especially when the journey is fraught with opposition. As we delve deeper into his messages and prophecies, we will see how Jeremiah's unwavering dedication set the stage for his profound words of both warning and hope. His life exemplifies the complex interplay of divine justice and mercy, calling every generation not just to tears of repentance, but to a bold faith capable of withstanding the fiercest storm. Jeremiah encapsulates the struggle and triumph of prophetic calling, a testament to the enduring power of a life lived in faithful response to God's voice. Jeremiah, often known as the weeping prophet, was undeniably entrusted with one of the most daunting missions in biblical narratives. His messages and prophecies were starkly direct, charged with urgency, yet imbued with a profound hope for transformation. Anchored by the divine call to stir the hearts of the people of Judah towards repentance, Jeremiah's poignant appeal largely revolved around the tension between impending judgment and the hope found in God's mercy. At the heart of Jeremiah's prophetic declarations was a vivid tapestry of messages that called the nation of Judah to recognize their own spiritual failure. His impassioned call for repentance was not merely about avoiding punishment. It was an invitation to genuine internal transformation. Over and again, Jeremiah echoed God's desire for his people to return to him, to shed their ways of idolatry and rebellion, and turn towards a life of obedience and righteousness. The prophetic metaphor of Judah as an unfaithful bride captures both the depth of God's sorrow for their spiritual infidelity and his undying love, despite their waywardness. Jeremiah's warnings of destruction were dire, yet intimately intertwined with reality, as he lived during turbulent geopolitical times. As he conveyed the looming threat of Babylonian invasion, his warnings were not empty threats, but the result of divine insight into the consequences of the nation's choices. His cries, often unheeded, were a reminder of the unswerving nature of divine justice. Yet within this justice lay an invitation to avoid catastrophe through realignment and repentance. One of the most significant narratives within Jeremiah's prophetic work is the analogy of the potter and the clay found in chapter 18. This vivid imagery provides an intimate look into God's sovereignty and his desire for pliable hearts. Jeremiah was instructed by God to observe a potter at work. This scene becomes a parable of God's relationship with his people. God is the potter, and the people are the clay. Should the clay be unyielding, it will be reshaped according to the potter's intent. Here, Jeremiah captures a profound truth: God's willingness to remold and reshape. Should the clay, symbolic of the nation's heart, embrace change and repentance. However, amidst the constant narrative of destruction, Jeremiah also ushers in messages of hope, a vision of restoration and redemption that shines through his prophecies like a beacon in the storm. One of the most transformative messages Jeremiah presents is the prophecy of a new covenant, described in chapter 31. Unlike the old covenant written on tablets of stone, the new would be inscribed upon hearts. This heralds a time when the connection with God would transcend mere ritual, focusing instead on an intimate and personal relationship with the divine. It points to a promise of forgiveness and a renewal of spiritual identity, a testament to God's unfailing love. This notion that God's mercy was ever present, ready to heal and restore, presents a counterbalance to the themes of judgment. Jeremiah's prophecies were not devoid of hope, but filled with a future-looking element, a vision of a remnant that would rise, purified and chastened, into a new dawn of faithfulness. Amid his lamentations, there threads a divine assurance that grace was always within reach for those who would seek it genuinely and wholeheartedly. Jeremiah's role as a prophet was a complex interplay between declaring the gravity of the people's current plight and the promise of divine compassion. The breadth of his work challenges contemporary believers to consider what it means to live in compliance with divine will, not merely as an act of duty, but as an expression of trust and love towards a God who continues to mold and frame life according to his purpose. Jeremiah's messages hold enduring relevance, pointing us towards self-examination, urging a return to sincerity in faith and an openness to spiritual reformation. His life beckons followers to engage deeply with the question of what it means to yield to the potter's hands, to be reshaped by divine love and wisdom. Throughout his messages, Jeremiah remains a steadfast beacon of God's unwavering patience and boundless mercy. In urging repentance, he calls us to embrace the fullness of God's promises, invoking a covenant relationship that is not only about correction, but primarily about transformation and hope, a future made new by turning hearts wholly to God. Jeremiah's legacy, though formed in the crucible of hardship and persecution, continues to shine brightly as a beacon of spiritual resilience and profound wisdom. The profound messages he delivered, a blend of admonition and hope, have transcended the centuries, bearing relevance in today's world with timeliness and urgency. As we delve into the legacy he left behind, we recognize a prophet whose life and words remain a guiding light amidst the complexities and moral dilemmas of the present age. The life of Jeremiah is a testament to the power of steadfast faith amidst trials. The prophet's journey was anything but easy. He faced derision, imprisonment, and isolation as he proclaimed his divinely inspired messages. Yet his unwavering trust in divine purpose stands as a powerful testament to modern believers. This resilience can become a source of inspiration today, encouraging us to cling to our values and convictions even when we face opposition or skepticism. In our current era, where instant gratification and fleeting commitments often overshadow the virtues of patience and steadfastness, Jeremiah's patience stands as a testament against the tide. He called for repentance and change of heart, even when it seemed like his words fell on deaf ears. His life encourages us to persist in doing good, to live righteously, and to trust that our endeavors inspired by faith are not in vain. Jeremiah's story invites modern audiences to reflect. How can we stand firm in our convictions, despite the pressures to conform to societal norms that might contradict our beliefs? Jeremiah's call for repentance and a genuine transformation of the heart has not lost its urgency or significance in today's spiritual landscape. While he warned vehemently of the consequences of ignoring God's commands, he also envisioned a future where God's grace would prevail. His message of redemption and the establishment of a new covenant reminds us of an eternally forgiving and merciful God who desires a loving relationship with his people. In an age where societal and personal fractures often seem insurmountable, Jeremiah's assurance that transformation and reconciliation are possible through divine love and grace remains a powerful promise. The modern world is fraught with challenges, economic uncertainties, social strife, and moral ambiguity, to name a few. Jeremiah's teachings on reliance on divine providence resonate deeply in such a context. His conviction that God's plans, ultimately, are for the welfare and restoration of his people offers solace and hope to those navigating their unique challenges. Just as Jeremiah trusted in God's goodness and ultimate plan. Individuals today can find peace and assurance in believing that regardless of immediate circumstances, divine providence is at work for their ultimate good. The enduring symbol of the potter and the clay, pivotal in Jeremiah's messages, beautifully illustrates the concept of being molded by divine hands. It serves as a poignant reminder of the humility and openness required to allow God to shape our lives according to His will. This metaphor challenges modern individuals to submit to divine crafting, to trust the process of transformation, and to remain open to divine guidance, even when circumstances feel uncomfortable or beyond understanding. Jeremiah's prophetic journey teaches the value of spiritual resilience and the necessity of maintaining a faith-centered perspective amidst shifting societal landscapes. His life compels modern believers to stop and evaluate. Are our lives oriented towards faithfulness and trust in a greater plan, or are we swayed by the ephemeral and often misguided promises of the world? His example calls us to find ways to incorporate divine wisdom into everyday life, facing challenges with courage, patience, and an unwavering commitment to spiritual integrity. As we continue to navigate this path of faith, Jeremiah's legacy reminds us continually that while trials may come and the world may at times seem dark and daunting, there's an indomitable strength in faith. His messages encourage ongoing reflection, prayer, and a concerted effort to embody the virtues of grace, forgiveness, and divine trust in our lives. By doing so, we align ourselves with a legacy of divine wisdom and resilience that not only honors the past, but also influences a future grounded in spiritual depth and unwavering faithfulness.